Welcome back to Higher Density Living in the studio with Alexander McKeag and Jason Rigby. Jason, you got a hole in your leg. You want to tell everybody what's going on personally in your life?
Yeah, I just went to a dermatologist and had a thing checked, and he's like, "Nope, I got to go deeper." So I went like a couple layers. Pretty deep.
It's
pretty
a
deep.
little deep. It
looks like a bullet hole,
and it's really like it's very open air. You know, it's like a crater.
Yeah, it's like a crater. Yeah,
it's literally like a crater
in my leg. So he called it. So I'm supposed to find out results or whatever. But I don't know. I'm probably the most healthiest I've ever been in my whole life now.
Your eyes look really clear.
So I know I'm eating great. I'm exercising a ton, getting lots of sunshine, walking, hiking. Yeah. Been hiking way more. So
I've been doing farm work.
Yeah, you've moved into a farm.
Yeah, so I'm like, it's. I'm not gonna lie.
Have you seen a snake yet?
No snakes. We have.
I can't find snakes here. We are in New Mexico.
We have falcons,
land of rattlesnakes.
Falcons on the property, but I haven't seen any snakes.
I mean, you're on a farm, so there has to be one.
Yeah, and I'm trying to convince Amanda to get a peacock.
They're loud.
They're loud, but they're completely unfazed by snakes. They'll kill anything. King cobras, pythons.
Yeah, we have roadrunners. They're that way.
Yeah,
they're ruthless.
Yeah, but the peacock's cool looking.
Oh yeah,
it's like my early warning system. You know, if like a nuke's getting launched, you have that technologically. But this is like intruder.
I had somebody tell me I need to take this test online, and it was like your spirit animal.
Well, tell me about hold on, I'm gonna pop these pills while you tell the story. Go ahead.
And so this spirit animal test was like, and I think it's like Native American or something like that, like what you are. I think it was some, one of those cheesy tests online that you can take. And I did this long test. It was like 50 questions. Comes out, says your spirit animal is a peacock.
Get the fuck out of here. Are you serious?
I don't see like that's any correlation.
I don't think that's your spirit animal though.
No, I think it's just
when I look at you.
It's like a cow.
Orca.
Oh, yeah. Orca's cool. I like orcas.
You just give me that vibe.
Yeah, I'm more introverted type. So it would have to be an animal that's like kind of like their
introverted, but a killer.
Yeah, kind of. I don't think I'm getting I think the older it's like the older you get, the less conflict you want to have. Like, and you see that in like, like older. I don't know if it has to do with like biologically with testosterone or whatever it may be. But it's like, it's not worth my time to have this conflict.
When conflict arises or any sort of rub, I'm like, oh, fuck.
We were in a meeting yesterday, a couple days before or whatever. Yesterday. And there was some conflict and I just tuned out.
Yeah.
Like it's not even worth my time.
That's why I sent you a message.
Yeah.
Because I was like, dude, don't even worry about it.
Because I can go like this.
Yeah.
And so I was on Slack talking to another employee on doing a project. Because it's like, what's being said is not, and I don't mean it's not important. It's just not.
It gets too hypothetical.
It's not conducive to, what the mission is.
No, it's not conducive to growth, is it?
Yeah. And people have a lot of perspectives on what they think should be done. But to me, the most important thing you can do is execute.
That's correct.
So unless we have clear steps in the way that we're going to execute and how we're going to do something here and now, I don't like hypothetical. I just never have.
And the two of them were batting back and forth on hypothetical. I'm like, fuck.
So I was like, well, because you can't go against our free will.
No, but you want to know something? I get a call later from the older person. You know who I'm talking about? And he says, you know what? You're right. Oh, weird. I barely had to say anything at all.
Sometimes and that's what I'm saying is sometimes Wayne Dyer talks about this. He was talking about one of his daughters was, he has 8 children. He wasn't playing around.
Not only was
goodness. He has a child per book he wrote.
I'm going to celebrate with every book I publish.
Yeah. So one of his daughters was having, I think just drug and alcohol problems and stuff like that. And she would always ask for money, of course, because he's a multimillionaire.
It's a high probability, if you have 8 of them.
Yeah, one's going to be a serial killer. One's going to be. And so he learned, I can't enable her. And that the lessons that I'm learning, I can't impose that on my children. And he quoted this beautiful, beautiful he said it was a prophet quote. And he's like, the old prophet, this was like, early AD times, around Jesus' time. But this Islamic prophet said,
your AD, not 80s.
Yeah, not 80s, 1980s. Yeah.
This is that like, fat lip you got in. I couldn't really understand what you were saying.
He said, basically the prophet's quote is, your children are not yours.
No.
And he had to learn, like, there's nothing that I can do or say in that title father. I mean, there's some responsibility with it, especially when a child's young. But when a child becomes an adult, we still want to be the father or the mother. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
And I think people need to take the realization to take the next step, which is to become like the cosmic father or cosmic mother, which means leave the material, leave the genetic lineage, forget the last name, all that stuff. Recognize them as an independent, learning, creational, spirit, energy driven being that is doing its thing. Some time ago, I was back when I used to live in Massachusetts with my parents. I looked at my mother. She was being tough at the time. I don't know what her deal was, but there was a little bit of a rub. And I think it was at sort of this point where control is lost, and I'm, growing up, making my own decisions, which I have been doing, but she's starting to recognize that she has no control over it. And I said to her, I was like, look, I didn't come from you. I came through you.
100%.
And I watched her just stand silently in the kitchen trying to reconcile what I just said. But she understood the truth of it. And then after that, the relationship's been completely different. It's nice. It's refreshing.
But don't you feel like every single one of us is narcissistic in some certain ways? Because all we do, we're not much, but all we do is just think about ourselves.
What else is there to think about?
But I mean, and everybody does. We're all selfish in a certain way. But don't you think that control is basically just a narcissistic, selfish mechanism?
100%.
And so the mom is not really showing love to you or the daughter or the son. It's more going against their free will, imposing what you feel is right to that child, turns into this you needing to be placated, you needing to have some type of control over the child. And the role is not, I respect you as a human being. You're, especially when a child's past, once they become a teenager, you're kind of fucked.
Yeah.
I feel like they're doing their own thing.
I feel like when I have kids, the second those things start being able to ask questions, that's a problem. Like, this thing's already doing its own thing.
Well, anybody that wants a child rearing book, Rudolf Steiner has one. It's blowing my mind. The whole thing is basically like, they have a soul, they have a spirit, and how do you handle that?
That's cool.
I just love that premise.
Well,
that's what he built the Waldorf schools off of.
Yeah, that's really cool.
But that's what we're not here to talk about today.
What are we talking about? Well, speaking of like birthing things, right? I guess this is kind of cool. We talked about genetics and stuff like that. Let's give a little background here. So I sent this to you yesterday. So this kind of hit the internet recently in Reddit, deep within Reddit. And there was a post from a gentleman who had worked at Battelle National Biological Defense Labs. I don't know, is that a Maryland or something? It might be out of Maryland.
Yeah, it was in Maryland.
And he worked there from the late 2000s to mid 2010s. And he has a PhD in molecular biology. Obviously a pretty fucking smart dude. Molecular biology is cool because you get to see at a small level how these systems interact. And for all of them, they're relatively the same in the body. You have to take a very holistic look at life and how it forms and interacts. I think it's actually a fantastic field for people to learn in STEM science. So science, technology, engineering, manufacturing, if they go to school. And
TikTok has that now.
What?
They have a whole STEM on the top. You know how like on Twitter they have for you, then they have the people you follow or lists.
Yeah, sure.
On the top of TikTok now, which I thought was awesome. Great job, TikTok. They have a STEM. You click that, and then it's just like science, technology, all of that.
Very cool.
I think it's really cool.
So this gets posted on Reddit about a gentleman who is at this lab and who's working on these things called EBOs, Exo-Biospheric Organisms. So things that actually originated outside of our biosphere on Earth and are now here on Earth, and they're studying them in this lab, right? So think about the context here. If you have something from space, which is foreign, could be a bacteria, could be a virus, could be a bunch of different things. If that comes into our atmosphere, makes it in, whether it be through meteorite, dust, fucking a satellite that falls, anything like that, we don't know what the consequence is in essentially our closed system, which we have here on Earth. How does that change something? Say there's a decay and there's new amino acids or, a new viral spread or a plague. I don't know, whatever the heck it might be. So it's important that we study these things. But what this gentleman was talking about were large, full-sized grays. And he thought it was interesting because he says, just like how it gets described in like the movies and like other conspiracy theorists online, it's exactly what this thing looks like, which I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's a variant of a gray. I don't know. I didn't look at what the qualifications were. It had gray skin, and we'll get into that. But it was totally different looking.
Yeah,
different size than a gray.
So to give a little context here, this thing's on Reddit. You can go find it. We'll post the link. You can read about it. And there's a lot of people and other scientists, in this field that are reading and being like, damn. And because this guy goes into heavy detail on, like, very technically on everything. And he lays it all out from the outer observation to, the what's going on with the cells of the body itself. Right. And then there's also a discussion because he's not the only person doing the research here at the lab.
Yeah, there was, I think, 14 or 12, 14, something like that. Right. Other scientists doing this.
And what's funny, and what I think is really cool, the scientists are all responsible for all their jobs. There's no janitorial services. There's nothing. You got to go. You got to clean up. You got to write your report. Nothing's on the fucking internet. It's all paper. You got to document it, write it down, like totally taken off the air. So he also got the privilege not only to work on these organisms, right, to study them, see how they interact, look at their DNA, but also read the reports of others that were interacting with ones that were alive. And we're going to go through and describe this, but I find fundamentally the most interesting part is how these things are described, if you want to put it in this sense, like their religion, if that makes it easy for people to get it.
That was wild. That part, I was like, why was he throwing this in there?
Because it's actually really important.
Yeah, it is. I get it. For you and I, that's the part that I liked the most.
I liked it the most, and it was at the very end.
Yes.
But what's cool about it is that if you look at their religion, it also defines how they have designed themselves. And I say designing in a genetic sense. Well, but wouldn't you do the same thing? I'm so advanced. I designed the shit out of myself. You know what I mean?
100%.
I do appreciate the fact that they have no butthole.
Yeah, it's kind of weird the way they secrete.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get into that. It can't smell good.
No, they stink.
If you're secreting ammonia.
They stink.
Yeah.
You don't pee it out. You just like, it's more concentrated.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of cool, I guess. It's not.
Okay, so.
But they probably have it where they've genetically modified it. To them, it doesn't smell. Or it smells great.
It smells like.
Maybe ammonia to them is like
roses.
Yeah. we always, in our ego, we always want to slam stuff into
slamming, dude. That's such a great word.
No, we just slam shit into like a thesis of what we feel extraterrestrial life would be. When it's going to be so funny when a big crab ship comes down.
Yeah.
And the aliens are like, well, we're the largest in the universe. There's literally trillions of crabs.
Yeah, we're crab people.
And we left the crabs here, and all they are is like little radar sensors that gives us information.
Yeah.
And they're actually highly intelligent. You guys just didn't realize it. Crustaceans are the future of the universe. Wouldn't that be funny? They are crab-like.
The creator crustaceans.
Yeah, they are crab-like. We did 2 episodes on all the different aliens types of species and stuff.
It was great. It was a lot of fun.
Was it Billy Meyer or
yeah,
Raw?
No, it was Billy Meyer. Yeah. But Raw had talked about some of them too.
Not Raw, Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
It's Law of One Raw. Even though Raw, Eddie Murphy was like one of the best
stand-up
things ever. So let's get into this. So the task of these scientists was to uncover the genome and the proteome basis of these beings. This is what I thought was cool. New DNA sequencing technologies, which is what we're creating now, which probably has been back engineered from the 1940s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. I imagine a lot of this stuff that gets released to the military industrial complex is coming from alien
100%.
I mean,
you
got to think of how
where
crude.
The fuck do you think CRISPR came from?
Here in New Mexico, how crude the autopsies were of the aliens, and we've known that people have testified to that.
Yeah. So the DNA sequencing, we're just gonna have to talk about this for a minute, okay? We have I'm not a doctor. 21, 22 chromosomes, 23. I don't fucking know. Yeah. Somewhere in there. Yeah. If it's 23, we have like a mental disability.
I think that's why they say 23andMe.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Yeah. I'm into marketing, so that sounds good, right?
They've been playing all of us. Yeah. You all got extra chromosomes. Okay.
It's like Oprah. You get an extra chromosome, and you get it.
So here's the cool part. So what they found is through the sequencing process here and the technology that was at the labs is that these EBOs, Exo-Biospheric Organisms, these gray aliens, they have 16. This guy gets really specific. Mm-hmm. Now, the cool part about it is not the fact that they have 16. What's interesting here is they share a lot of the aspects with human genetic DNA.
Yeah, our biosphere. He talks about. Yeah.
So there's many things that they share for how they survive. So there's a relatively similar atmosphere in which they live in and thrive in, but it's not exact to us. But the cool part is that they saw that we have all this stuff like junk DNA, which is over 90% of our DNA itself, which I think is a stupid word to call it. Nothing's junk, really. There's no waste in the human body in that sense. These are used for binding other things at a genetic level. You need to have these in place. Now, for us, for you and me, our junk's like sequenced like Gattaca. Mm-hmm. It's sequenced in different variants. It's never the same. The sequencing of their junk DNA is completely in symmetry.
Oh, 100%.
It has a perfect repeating pattern.
Yeah, there's probably tons of data stored on it too.
Yeah, there's no confusion, essentially. Yeah. And so the way they were looking at this in the lab is that this had to have been engineered to get this level of symmetry. This was not a natural occurrence.
No.
Anyway, okay, go ahead.
Yeah, they said it, and what I thought was interesting was he said that there were 16 circular chromosomes.
I don't know what the fuck that means.
Yeah, I tried to look it up, what the circular meant. Yeah. And it was kind of like, I mean, you could look it up. Just type in circular chromosomes. There's not a lot on there. I don't know if he's like, this is something new with the alien. But certain genes in EBOs match nucleotide with known human genes. So what they were saying is...
Yeah, circular chromosomes are legit.
Yeah, what they were saying is that you can see by this match nucleotide to nucleotide with human genes that there was a degree of genetic engineering. Now, maybe we'll find out that the emerald tablets were true, and then there's Anunnaki and they engineered humans. Maybe that's a true story. Yeah. Because this is what it's looking like, because it looks like I don't think we were around and then they came here when we started to become humans from apes and then said, let's sequence with these people. I think we're probably created from it. My guess is we're created from a god or an alien species, and that's the creation story. Whether it's Anunnaki or Greys or whoever, I don't know. But this is clearly showing genetic engineering. And it said the EBO's mitochondria genome had not been sequenced as of the time of the author's work. So that's where we're going to unlock.
Yeah.
I mean, like how they expend energy, the mitochondria is like the key to.
It's the powerhouse of the cell.
Yes. And that's what they talk about. EBO cells require oxygen to produce energy like ours, with lungs functioning. And this was really cool.
This was badass. I thought this was so
in
cool.
a unidirectional flow, similar to birds.
Yeah. So they are only taking in. There's no outside waste of the atmosphere, which tells me one of two things. The environment in which they come from, say a home world, is completely perfect in its atmosphere, absolutely untouched. There's no issues with it, where no breathing out is required. Mm-hmm. Currently, our atmosphere on Earth, is completely inadequate for human beings. Not only are we poisoning it, right, with everything else that we do as humans, it's inadequate in the sense that it's shortening our lifespans because it doesn't give us the required amount of oxygen, a level of perfection of our atmosphere to allow us to thrive.
Yes.
Okay? And breathing's a big thing for us. But because they're similar to the birds and they're taking things directly in, tells me that they have a level of perfection to those atmospheres. Or then beyond that, the ships in which they travel, which got them here, probably has a perfect atmosphere in the inside.
Well, we know that with the White Sands incident.
That's percent. That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah,
Daniel W. Fry.
Yeah,
that's right.
Because Mr. Fry talked about how they could change the atmosphere in their spaceship.
Correct. So you're perfecting those things. So why breathe out? You don't need that waste. If you're so advanced, the less waste you create. That be sound, that be breathing, that be energy waste, all those different things. That's where you find advanced species. Advanced species are within silence, within nothingness. Okay?
Yeah, and I thought this was interesting because this is always a thing. Because in the Bible, in Exodus, it talks about, which is a mystical book in and of itself, and probably channeled material and stuff like that in parts of it. It says that the life is in the blood. And the Hebrew word life is kind of like the breath of God, the soul. So whenever I look at their circulatory system, I really pay attention
circulatory.
to
circuitry.
Circuitry, yeah. Circuits, which they do. They have robots. They have a new name for those.
Or what?
Dr. Stephen Greer just came out with all these whistleblowers. Like 16 came out whistleblowers. Because now they just the Senate allowed.
Sure.
They passed that bill, and he was talking about their that they actually have grays that are just robots. Yeah. They have a name for them.
Yeah, just those Android ones.
Yeah, there was a different. I wish I remembered the
Greer?
abbreviation.
I don't trust that guy.
He's real heavy into politics. He just did a whole thing where he spent 3 hours, and I watched it, where he had these whistleblowers. I think it's interesting. The thing that I like about him is the one thing I like about him is like he's always preaching unity. So
that's cool.
Whoever says that, whether I disagree or agree with, some of the pictures and stuff like that he put up and the sketches and stuff were kind of, and then some of the stories seem like Hollywood stuff.
But I
like to have him on the podcast.
I love the unity thing. I just don't trust him. It's probably because I haven't spoken to him yet.
Well, I don't trust.
When I eyeball check him like this, I don't trust his eyes.
Here's my thing, and Joe Rogan was talking about this the other day, and I'm kind of in agreement on this. And this may be kind of controversial, but I don't care. Why is the government so on board right now with putting all this UAP and UFOs and all the aliens and like politicians are speaking about it more openly now? The Senate thing passed. If you're shifting trillions of dollars all around the world, why would you not want to distract us? Let's distract you with race. Let's distract you with gender. Let's distract you with aliens. We need you to be angry at each other.
Yeah.
And it's like, why was the Colosseum built?
To distract people in Rome.
Yes.
I don't want you guys rioting in the streets. I want you to watch each other these people kill each other in this big ring.
The politicians even said that.
Same fucking thing as football. Why do you think football's so big?
Yeah, 100%.
So
that scares me. All of this kind of these whistleblowers and stuff.
Don't lie
are
to
they
me.
government agents?
You don't get fucking scared. Change that word.
Oh yeah, not scared. But
what's the right word?
It alarms me.
Thank you.
Yeah, it alarms me whenever I see these whistleblowers come out and they had worked for the government or they're really, really tied into the military-industrial complex. Yeah. I mean, they're speaking against it, and maybe I'm just too much of a skeptic. But I don't like to just buy off on this when I know how tyrannical governments can be.
You know what it is? You always need an enemy.
Mm-hmm.
Russia can't be the enemy forever.
Nope.
China can't be the enemy forever. So you have to make your enemy come from a place that people are completely unknowledgeable of.
You know what's so crazy too?
What?
I just want to stop for a second and say this. I've been to Ukraine and I've been to Russia. The most amazing areas. So beautiful.
Beautiful places.
People are awesome. They love EDM, which I like. They love tracksuits, which I like.
Good art. There's good
they
art.
have amazing art. Yeah, Ukraine, Kyiv is absolutely one of the most beautiful cities I've been to. And I've been all over Europe. It's just sad and you could go to China and I guarantee you could sit down and have some drinks with, people from China and it'd be like Chinese people and it'd be like the best time ever.
Yeah.
Humans, we can sit over a meal. I mean, this is evolutionary. We could sit over a fire or a meal.
Yeah.
No, and we could have like 12 Russians here, 12 Ukrainians here, 12 Chinese people here, and we'll have the best time in the world. and we're going to meet new people, and 99.9% of people are going to be friendly.
Yeah.
It's just sad that we have these made up wars.
Yeah, with some people that have more power, more control, and more money, and they just make these decisions, and what are we going to fucking do?
And they create these things, and we need to wake up. And how you wake up is by being self-aware of these.
Yeah.
And whether this is true or not, this EBO things, I mean, it sounds legit to me, but I just want people to be cautious when a government hops on board on something.
Yeah. Well, another couple of things I found interesting about this, and we'll keep pushing through here, is the blood, the plasma.
Yes.
Do you know what's crazy? High amounts of copper.
Dude, that's where I was going. I've been starting to take copper for a month. I've been taking copper.
I know, bro. I know.
I've been taking a copper tablet every day.
So here's something like some sort of level of bioelectric current and the binding agents of copper in the body to take shit out of the blood. The Egyptians used to talk about this.
Wait, don't you have a copper tent?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, let's go.
The Egyptian,
you lick it. Get your copper for the day.
Yeah. Oh, I feel good. No, but the Egyptians used to talk about this. They were hopped up on copper.
Yeah.
But they said it helped with the currents of the body, right? It helped them to tap into whatever the hell they were trying to tap into. And I find it remarkable that there's so much copper inside the bloodstreams of these engineered organisms. And what's crazy is that they said, he was saying, we don't have the technology when we were doing this to see if there were any things that were like nano machinery inside the body.
Which there is, I guarantee you. There's cells.
They were trying to say it like a nano level. There was actual machines.
Yes.
And the copper was helping power that.
Yes.
But they said they were unsure, but they said that was their theory.
Yeah, which makes sense. I mean, minerals at the mineral level, that's what we're finding out over and over again. We're magnesium deficient. We're copper deficient.
Yeah.
All these, I mean, the Bible talks about being made from the elements and the minerals of the earth. That's how Adam, in the story.
I mean, look at us.
Yeah. We're all minerals.
All the same.
We're just
stuff.
big crystals.
I thought this was kind of funny here. The talked about the digestive system being underdeveloped. I don't think it's underdeveloped. I think it's perfectly developed. They don't digest. They don't take a leak. They don't take a shit.
Well, they don't eat solid food.
They don't eat solid food.
Which makes sense. Why would you eat solid food?
No, they just have high carb, high protein liquid, which comes in their body. And then because of the way their systems are developed, they secrete it through the skin.
Yeah, if you could just eat protein shakes all day long and it'd be super...
I'd do that.
Like mushrooms and copper.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, there was that thing in the tech world, but Soylent. Remember that was a big thing, and everybody was drinking those Soylent.
Yeah, I don't.
I bought them, and it was like, eh.
So right here, artificial molecular machines might be present in the body, like the copper.
I guarantee you they are.
They probably are.
Because why would you not nano engineer diseases? They would be AI enabled in a collective way where they could you would have AI doctors that would maneuver these nano robots to take care. Oh, here's a cancer cell. Oh, here's leukemia. And they've probably genetically modified a lot of those diseases, but I guarantee you it's monitoring and keeping everything.
I'm actually looking a word up while you're doing this. Apotheos. So let's get to the interesting part. Anyway, this guy's doing experiments. You can read it. This isn't the real big deal. The real big deal is the religion of these things that they were talking about through interview. Mm-hmm. And by the way, here's my context here. These things are 100% engineered from head to toe. They definitely are conscious, but they are specifically job driven because of their engineering.
Yes.
They're not as free will forming like we are. They have free will, but I think within limitations of how they're engineered to have their life purpose.
Well, it's if you look at unconditional love, then it's going to be collective.
Yeah.
So in their free will, they choose in a collective environment, and they talk about this. Did you look up the Yeah. Okay. Explain that word, because I think it's they have their religion based on soul man, and then the quest for apotheosios.
Yeah. So first of all, soul field I think was an issue in the interview. It was a misinterpretation. I really do. Because soul comes from the word seal. And seal is a development of personality, ego, the I. These things wouldn't have a soul field. There's no ego field. That's a thing that happens in just the basic.
It's probably a spirit field.
Yeah. That's exactly what I was going to get into. Yes, Jason, very good. So the guy who wrote this thing said here that during the interviews with these EBOs, they asked them on their religion, or essentially their belief system. Their whole goal or quest was for a thing called apotheosis. Apotheosis is like the highest point of development, perfection, where you are not fighting nature, you are completely flowing with it.
Yeah, it's evolving.
With it, which is this field, which they speak about, this field which permeates everything. And the more you develop, the more you live into this field, the more you flow with it, the closer you get to that stance of perfection. And their whole goal is to nurture and make choices, generate seed, and protect life.
Well, they probably made this word up from us. They've been watching Higher Density Living and developed a religion off of it, because this is what we believe.
No, I know. We talk about this all the time.
And I know you don't like the word belief, but
I get
a belief is just a thought you think over and over and over.
I get it. That's correct. So they're on this quest for perfection through nature. And they talk about these laws and regulations of this field within which they live and permeates everything. Essentially this energy field.
That's why they create life.
That's why they create life. And they perfect it and do all these things. And so their whole goal is to create, nurture, and drive this field and live within it to have a perfect, relative, absolute perfection. That's their only goal. A completely objective view of the universe and their reality. No crazy ideologies, no dogmas, nothing. The whole goal here is to perfect and be as close to nature as possible.
And to evolve. With it, understanding and evolving. So if our science and our worldview is that, imagine.
Yeah, I think that's quite amazing. I mean, like 85% of what was written here was the guy has a PhD in molecular biology. But I really do love the fact that he brought up the fact, in the reports that they had asked what the goal is of these beings. And their goal is this apotheosis, the climax, the perfection of life itself. How fucking cool is that?
That's awesome. And I encourage people, like I said, we'll put the link for the Reddit on this.
It's thick. It's
cool.
Long.
Yeah, it's got a bunch of pages.
Absolutely worth checking out. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today on Higher Density Living. We've had a couple guests on. Check out those episodes.
Sign up for our email newsletter.
Yeah. What else?
We have it really big on there. We've got a shop. You can buy t-shirts, really cool alien t-shirts. You got one on right now. So there's a lot going on. Go to higherdensityliving.com. You can donate. We're a 501c3. Yep. We just got a renewal letter 2 days ago from the government signed. So we are official. If you want to donate to a 501c3, we'd love. It just helps us to be able to get more guests on, helps us to be able to
teach,
get the material. We're building community out. We're for $11.11 a month. You can be a part. We're going to have extra shows on there, courses, things that you're doing. You're working really heavy with. I mean, you could see it here with the Billy Meyer materials.
Yeah.
I'm working really heavy with Rudolf Steiner and kind of more of a Christian esoteric format. So I'm doing things. You're doing things. We're going to release all that into the community. So it'll be awesome.
And guys, do we look rich? No. We're just trying to sustain ourselves so that we can continue doing our thing because we feel that this is helpful, important. It's been, in fact, impactful on both of our lives. So we want to have that same level of impact on others who find us and want to continue to expand on their own journeys. So thank you very much, and all is one.
Amen.